What does Independence Day mean to you? It is July 4th each and every year, where on July 4th of 1776, we declared our independence from the King George tyranny, and a whole host of things happening after that, including the Revolutionary War and a constitution that brings about a constitutional republic. That even Ben Franklin said that it's a republic if you can keep it. What does Independence Day mean to you? I'd love to hear your thoughts at 217-629-7970. Again, 217-629-7970. A lot of activities happening in and around the area for Independence Day celebrations because, we equate Independence Day with fireworks. But really, when you get down to it, I think it's important that we reflect on what Independence Day is really all about. But looking at, tonight, for instance, you've got the Springfield Lucky Horseshoes. They're going to be playing Cape Girardeau, and they've got fireworks that are going to happen after the game concludes, but it starts at 6:30, Robin Roberts Stadium. So if you're not up to being out late on Tuesday night, maybe that's where you can watch some of the fireworks. But you've got Sherman. They're doing their fireworks spectacular. That's going to be Tuesday nights. They got food, drinks, tailgating going on, live music, fireworks happening. That's going to be in Sherman. You've also got a fireworks show that's going to happen out at Knights Action Park. Plus, in Jacksonville, you got Nichols Park. They're going to have some fireworks at dusk and a whole bunch of other events sprinkled all throughout the area. But if you're looking for something to do on Tuesday, maybe you can head out to Lincoln's New Salem over in Petersburg. They're actually going to have a lot of their historical reenactors there, doing a variety of things, period demonstrations. There's also going to be a reading of the Declaration of Independence live there at Petersburg, New Salem, Lincoln's New Salem. But you've also got some of the operations continuing for Independence Day, including the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library and Museum. The museum's going to be open. You've got the Lincoln Home and the Lincoln Tomb, and again, Lincoln's New Salem going to be open and operating. So those are some of the festivities you could take part in. But getting back to what Independence Day means to you, 217-629-7970. That's the phone number. Again, 217-629-7970. What does this holiday mean to you? Some people it means barbecues and fireworks, right? And speaking of barbecues, it's not going to cost you as much for that barbecue than it did last year, but still higher than it has been in previous years. And it looks like some of the things that are going to cost you more, buns. I think buns are up like 17%. But some things did come down in price, like lemonade, for instance. But you're still paying more for beef and some of those things. Also, you've got also on the docket here, you're paying more for gasoline in the state of Illinois. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But what does Independence Day mean to you? Does it mean that we are a country that has a bunch of free-minded individuals who don't see government as the end-all be-all, who are sovereign individuals who have inalienable rights, that are free to determine their life and happiness without government interference? Is that what Independence Day means to you? Good morning. You're on WMAY.
Good morning, Greg. I think right now the most important thing to me is my right to bear arms. But I want to tell you that when you even mentioned this, I started thinking about it and honestly almost started crying because I'm a senior. I've grown up in the most wonderful country in the world and lived, pretty much did anything I wanted. I ran for Congress in Chicago. It just offered me so much, and I realized the tears are that I'm not passing that down to the upcoming generations, and that really is, it's very sorrowful for me.
Well, how can we pass that spirit down? Because you do hear too much that, this country was founded by slave masters and, there's all kinds of, inherent racist policies, and you hear people trying to beat down the country, saying that we're not the greatest country in the world. How do you combat that? How do you get a younger generation to realize that this country was founded on certain principles that requires them to exercise and know their rights?
Having a media that tells the truth, and also what I've seen is people don't get involved. I mean, we live off the fruits of our labor, and it's been so good, and we've lived wonderful, fantastic lives with, a plenty of things. But it's that old saying that hard times make good men make great times, great times make weak men. And that's where we're at. It's the cycle. But I have hope in God, so I pray that it turns around for the upcoming generation.
Yeah, and even with that cycle, you mentioned, hard times make strong men make good times make weak men, and weak men make hard times, thereby making, strong men after those hard times. We may be in that cycle of, we've had good times, and we've unfortunately created a weak population because of those good times. But, in this country, we do have those foundational principles that I think a lot of us hope survives through the hard times, and people don't just cave into the allure of government coming in to save them. Right? Because in history, you don't really see too many instances of utilitarian government coming in and saving things. It ends up backfiring, and millions of people lose their lives. So appreciate the call, and thanks for your message this morning, 217-629-7970. What does Independence Day mean to you? Good morning.
The 5 F's, the 4th of July, friends, family, food, fireworks, and freedom. It's about as clear as it can get.
So that's the 5 F's you just laid out there. Food, family, fireworks, friends, and freedom.
Yep, you got it.
All right, man. Appreciate the call. 217-629-7970. What does Independence Day mean to you? For me, it means reflecting on not just where we came from in this country with our founding fathers and the tyranny that they disposed of through the Revolutionary War and the creation of the Constitution, recognizing inalienable rights. It's not just a reflection of that. It's also a reflection of, listen, I exercise my First Amendment right every single day, not just the right to free speech here on this program, but also the right of the free press. And covering state government, as I do day in, day out, and being able to do that unabridged. There are hurdles, there are obstacles, obviously, there always are, but I reflect on those as some key fundamental issues. We've also had a lot of discussion on this program about the Second Amendment and what ultimately that means. And, a well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Well, what's a free state? We're not talking about a state that's free from deer. We're not talking about a state that's free from skeets that need to be shot down. We're talking about a free state that is free of tyranny. And I think that we have to really boil down and understand the significance of that. Especially, something we're going to talk about a little bit next hour is what's going on in France. And if you haven't seen what's happening in France, it's pretty remarkable. It seems that the country is just on the verge of some kind of explosive war. And you got to think to yourself, they're seeing images of individuals and criminals out on the street with belt-fed machine guns. How in the world do they get belt-fed machine guns in a country that has really strict gun laws? So you got to ask yourself some of the questions as to what's going on in France. But in the United States, we have the Declaration of Independence, we have the Constitution, we have the Bill of Rights, and we have 50 miniature democracies all across the country, experiments in democracy all across the country. In this constitutional republic, these mini democracies testing themselves out. Some are thriving. Some, like Florida, are thriving. Texas, thriving. Other states, not so much. You've got California shrinking, Illinois shrinking, New York shrinking. So these experiments on how governments are implementing measures or how they're operating and how the individuals are moving from one place to the other, I think can really spell out quite a bit as well, and it's important that we reflect on that. The Independence Day celebrations, be safe out there. There's plenty of fireworks for you to go check out, but also just don't forget the real reason for the season. All right, 7:53 now on WMA.